You think finding beachfront property under $50,000 is impossible? Cool. Let me introduce you to 10 places where that fantasy is Tuesday. These are not timeshares, not scams, and not properties that require you to fight alligators for bathroom access. Well, maybe one does, but we will get to that. Most people assume affordable beach living died sometime around 1987, when the last baby boomer bought their third vacation home. But scattered across coastlines nobody talks about are actual beach towns where $50,000 buys you more than a parking space. We are talking houses with walls near actual oceans. The catch? There's always a catch. Maybe the town's economy collapsed harder than your New Year's resolutions. Maybe the nearest Whole Foods is 600 miles away, and locals think organic means it grew in dirt. Or maybe the beach comes with industrial views that make you understand why nobody else wanted to live there. Subscribe now, because one day you will want to escape to somewhere cheap. And this channel is basically your economic relocation guide with actual research, instead of real estate fantasies that assume you have trust fund money. These are real towns with real properties under $50,000. And yes, they are actually near beaches. Let us break down where cheap beach living still exists and what you are really signing up for. Number 10, Gary, Indiana, Lake Michigan coastline. Gary has Lake Michigan beachfront properties under $50,000. And before you laugh, hear me out. This city sits on 40 miles of Lake Michigan shoreline with actual beaches. The problem is Gary's economy collapsed so completely after the steel industry died that houses sell for what most people spend on a used car. Here is the Gary situation. Median home prices hover around $30,000 to $40,000 for properties within walking distance of Lake Michigan. You can find foreclosures and abandoned homes for under $20,000 if you are brave. Property taxes are low because property values cratered decades ago. The beach access is legitimate with Indiana Dunes National Park nearby, offering some of the best freshwater beaches in America. The catch is Gary's reputation is not exaggerated. Crime rates are high. The population dropped from 178,000 in 1960 to under 70,000 today. Entire neighborhoods are abandoned. Services are stretched thin. Businesses left decades ago. Your nearest grocery store might require a drive because food deserts are real here. Schools struggle with funding. Infrastructure is crumbling in ways that make potholes feel personal. One person who bought a $25,000 house 2 blocks from the beach said the lake views are spectacular and totally free. They renovated on a budget and have a deck overlooking water that would cost millions anywhere else. But they also have security cameras, reinforced doors, and drive 40 minutes for groceries they trust. Their neighbors are great. The community is trying to rebuild, but reality is Gary requires accepting serious trade-offs for cheap beach access. In plain terms, Gary offers unbelievably cheap Lake Michigan beachfront if you can handle living in a city still recovering from economic devastation. The beach is beautiful. The price is unbeatable. Everything else requires careful consideration and probably pepper spray. Can we acknowledge the absurdity? You are paying $35,000 for a house near Great Lakes beaches at rival ocean coastlines. The same distance from Chicago costs $800,000. The price difference reflects exactly how hard Gary's collapse was. You are not just buying cheap property. You are betting on a city's potential recovery while living through its present struggles. Picture yourself on a deck overlooking Lake Michigan. Sunset is perfect. The beach is 5 minutes away. Your mortgage was $30,000 total. Then you hear sirens for the third time tonight. And remember why your property taxes are $600 annually instead of $6,000. Sometimes cheap comes with a security system surcharge. Number 9, Port Arthur, Texas Gulf Coast. Port Arthur sits on the Texas Gulf Coast with properties under $50,000 and humidity that makes you question whether you are breathing or swimming. This town has about 55,000 people, massive oil refineries, and Gulf access that technically qualifies as beachfront even if that beach comes with industrial aesthetics. Here is what Port Arthur costs. Median home price is around $65,000, but foreclosures and older properties regularly list under $50,000. Properties within a few miles of Gulf access can be found for $30,000 to $45,000. The cost of living is about 15% below the national average. Property taxes are reasonable. Hurricane insurance is mandatory and expensive because hurricanes here are not theoretical. They are scheduled events you prepare for annually. The job market exists because of petrochemical plants and refineries. If you work in energy, Port Arthur has opportunities. If you do not, options narrow significantly. The town smells like refineries because refineries dominate the landscape. You will get used to it, or you will not and leave. The beaches are not postcard perfect. They are Gulf Coast industrial with views that include tankers and processing facilities. But the water is real. Fishing is excellent and access is easy. You're not getting white sand Caribbean fantasies. You are getting functional Gulf access at prices that reflect the industrial reality. Someone who moved there said Port Arthur is cheap and honest about what it is. Their house costs $38,000, and they are 15 minutes from Gulf fishing. The refineries are visible from everywhere. The smell is constant, but they save $2,000 monthly compared to where they lived before. They fish multiple times weekly, keep their AC running constantly because heat is oppressive, and accepted the trade-off. Beauty is subjective. Affordability is objective. In short, Port Arthur offers Gulf Coast access under $50,000 if you can handle industrial surroundings, hurricane risk, and heat that makes you understand why hell is described as fire. The price reflects the reality. The reality is not for everyone. Number 8, Gulfport, Mississippi, post-Katrina recovery. Gulfport is still rebuilding from Hurricane Katrina almost 20 years later, which means deals exist for people willing to invest in areas still recovering. This city has about 72,000 residents, Gulf of Mexico beaches, and properties that occasionally dip under $50,000 in neighborhoods off the main tourist areas. Here's a Gulfport breakdown. Median home price is around $180,000, but properties in recovering neighborhoods or needing renovation list between $40,000 and $50,000. Beachfront condos that took hurricane damage and were repaired sometimes sell cheap. The cost of living is about 12% below the national average. Property taxes are low. Hurricane insurance is required and costs enough to matter. Casino industry provides jobs since Gulfport has legal gambling. Tourism supports service industry work. The catch is hurricane risk is not theoretical. Katrina destroyed huge sections of Gulfport in 2005. The city rebuilt, but every hurricane season brings legitimate anxiety. If you buy here, you are buying into that cycle of preparation, potential evacuation, and hoping this is not the year another big one hits. The beaches are decent, white sand Gulf Coast stretches that get genuinely nice outside storm season. The water is warm most of the year. Fishing is excellent. The culture is deep South coastal with seafood and humidity as defining characteristics. One buyer said they got a small house for $47,000 that is 3 blocks from the beach. It needed work, but the bones were solid. They renovated over 2 years, and now they have cheap beach access with manageable costs. But every June they start watching weather reports obsessively, and by August they are mentally calculating evacuation routes while hoping they do not need them. The savings are real. So is the hurricane anxiety that becomes part of life. Gulfport offers affordable Gulf access in a recovering city where prices reflect ongoing rebuilding. If you can handle hurricane culture, it is genuinely cheap beach living. Number 7, Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, Western Coast. Mayagüez sits on Puerto Rico's western coast with properties under $50,000, Caribbean water access, and reality of living in a place still recovering from infrastructure collapse. This city has about 73,000 residents, university presence from the University of Puerto Rico Mayagüez campus, and housing costs that drop dramatically outside tourist zones. Here is the Mayagüez situation. Median home prices are around $120,000, but properties in neighborhoods away from the coast or needing renovation list between $35,000 and $50,000. The cost of living is roughly on par with the mainland U.S., slightly higher for imported goods. Property taxes are low. You are a full U.S. citizen with all rights. The job market is limited outside the university, government work, and service industries. The major issue is power. Luma Energy controls the grid, and outages are frequent enough to be a lifestyle factor. You will need backup systems. if you require reliable electricity. Internet can be spotty. Infrastructure is still rebuilding from Hurricane Maria's 2017 devastation. The beaches on the western coast are less developed than San Juan, which means fewer tourists and more local character. The water is Caribbean perfect. Surfing is popular. Sunsets over the Mona Passage are genuinely spectacular. The culture is rich, food is incredible, and you are in the Caribbean with U.S. legal protections. Someone who relocated said they bought a house for $42,000 that needs work but is structurally sound. They are learning Spanish, adapting to island time, and dealing with power outages that happen weekly. They fish, have beach access, and save money. But they also run generators, collect rainwater as backup, and plan their lives around infrastructure limitations. The price is unbeatable. The trade-offs are significant. In plain terms, Mayagüez offers Caribbean beach access under $50,000 if you are a U.S. citizen willing to deal with Puerto Rico's infrastructure challenges. The water is beautiful. The culture is vibrant. The power grid is unreliable enough to shape daily decisions. Number 6. Blythe, California, Colorado River access. Wait, Blythe is not exactly ocean beachfront, but it is on the Colorado River with water access, sandy beaches along the river, and properties under $50,000 in a desert town that feels forgotten. This town has about 18,000 people, sits on the California-Arizona border, and exists primarily because the river is there. Here is what Blythe costs. Median home price is around $185,000, but older properties and foreclosures regularly list between $35,000 and $50,000. Mobile homes and smaller houses near the river can be incredibly cheap. The cost of living is about 8% below the national average. Property taxes follow California rates, which are higher than neighboring states, but manageable given property values. The catch is Blythe is in the middle of the desert where summer temperatures regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat is not uncomfortable. It is dangerous. You will stay inside from June through September unless you enjoy feeling like you are being baked alive. The river is warm. Recreation options exist, but the town itself is small with limited services. Job opportunities are minimal. Many residents are retirees. Some work in agriculture. Others commute to larger cities. If you work remotely, Blythe offers cheap living with river access. If you need local employment, options are limited. The river beaches are not ocean, but they are legitimate sandy areas with water access for boating, fishing, and swimming. It is desert recreation, which means different aesthetics but functional beach experiences. One person who moved there said they paid $38,000 for a small house 2 blocks from the river. Summer heat is brutal, requiring AC that runs continuously, which affects electricity costs. But their mortgage is paid off. They kayak regularly. The cost of living is low enough that they bank serious money despite limited income. They accepted desert isolation and heat as a price for cheap water access. Blythe offers river beach access under $50,000 if you can handle extreme heat and small town isolation. It is not the ocean, but water is water when the price is this low. Number 5. Pine Bluff, Arkansas River access. Pine Bluff sits on the Arkansas River, which technically counts as water access, even if it is not the beach experience most people imagine. This city has about 41,000 people, an economy that struggled significantly, and properties under $50,000 that make you question what happened here. Here is Pine Bluff reality. Median home price is around $70,000, but properties regularly list between $20,000 and $40,000. Some houses sell for under $15,000, which should tell you everything about the local economy. The cost of living is about 25% below the national average. Property taxes are low because property values crashed. The job market is limited. The population declined from 57,000 in 1990 to under 42,000 today. Crime rates are high enough that safety is a legitimate concern. Services are stretched thin. The city struggles with economic challenges that affect daily life. The Arkansas River access is not beach living in traditional sense, but fishing, boating, and water recreation exist. You are not getting ocean waves. You are getting river access in a town where economic collapse made everything cheap. Someone who bought a $25,000 house said Pine Bluff, requires realistic expectations. The property needed work. The neighborhood is rough. Crime is real, but they renovated on a budget, have river access for fishing, and pay almost nothing for housing. They also have security measures, avoid certain areas, and acknowledge this is not for everyone. The price is unbeatable if you can handle the reality. Pine Bluff offers river access under $50,000 if you accept living in a city with significant economic challenges. The water is there. So are the trade-offs. Number 4, Myrtle Creek, Oregon, coastal proximity. Myrtle Creek is not directly on the coast, but it is 60 miles from Oregon beaches with properties under $50,000 in a small town surrounded by forest. This town has about 3,400 people, sits in the Umpqua River Valley, and exists as a quiet stop between larger cities. Here is the Myrtle Creek breakdown. Median home price is around $250,000, but older properties, mobile homes, and fixer-uppers list between $40,000 and $50,000. The cost of living is about 5% below the national average. Property taxes are moderate. You are an hour from the Pacific coast with easy access to beaches, tide pools, and coastal recreation. The job market is limited to logging, agriculture, and service industries. Many residents commute to Roseburg or other nearby towns. If you work remotely, Myrtle Creek offers cheap living with coast access. If you need local work, options are minimal. The climate is Pacific Northwest, which means rain, green forests, mild temperatures, and gray skies for much of the year. If you need constant sunshine, Oregon will break you. If you like rain and greenery, it is perfect. Someone who moved there said they bought a mobile home on land for $45,000 with an hour drive to the coast. They visit beaches weekly, hike constantly, and deal with rain that lasts months. The property was cheap enough to pay cash. They work remotely, and living costs are low enough that they save significant money. The isolation is real, but so are the savings. Myrtle Creek offers coastal proximity under $50,000. If you can handle small-town Oregon life and rain, that becomes a personality trait. Number 3, Albany, Georgia, Flint River access. Albany sits on the Flint River in southern Georgia with properties under $50,000 and water access that is functional even if it is not ocean beaches. This city has about 69,000 people, an economy that has struggled, and housing prices that reflect economic challenges. Here is Albany pricing. Median home price is around $95,000, but properties regularly list between $30,000 and $50,000 in neighborhoods that need investment. The cost of living is about 18% below the national average. Property taxes are low. The job market includes healthcare, education, and military presence from a nearby Marine Corps logistics base. The Flint River offers fishing, kayaking, and water recreation. You're not getting beach living, but water access exists at prices that make traditional beaches seem overpriced. The climate is humid southern Georgia with hot summers and mild winters. The catch is Albany faces typical southern economic challenges. Some neighborhoods struggle with crime. Services vary by area. The city is working on revitalization, but progress is slow. One buyer said they purchased a house for $35,000 that needed renovation but was structurally sound. They are near the river, fish regularly, and have low living costs. They also researched neighborhoods carefully, invested in security, and accepted that Albany requires realistic expectations. The price is incredible. The city is still finding its footing economically. Albany offers river access under $50,000 if you can navigate southern economic realities. The water is there, so is the need for careful neighborhood selection. Number 2, Coos Bay, Oregon Pacific Coast. Coos Bay is directly on the Oregon coast with properties that occasionally dip under $50,000, usually mobile homes or properties needing significant work. This city has about 16,000 people, sits on a natural bay opening to Pacific, and offers legitimate coastal living at prices that reflect economic struggles. Here is the Coos Bay situation. Median home price is around $300,000, but mobile homes, foreclosures, and fixer-uppers sometimes list between $45,000 and $50,000. The cost of living is roughly on par with the national average. Property taxes are moderate. You have direct Pacific access with beaches, crabbing, and fishing. The job market is limited, historically based on logging and fishing, both industries that have declined. Some residents work in healthcare or education. Many are retirees. If you work remotely, Coos Bay offers actual coastal living cheaply. The climate is coastal Oregon, which means fog, rain, cool temperatures, and stunning natural beauty. You are not getting California sunshine. You are getting moody Pacific Northwest coastlines that inspire either deep love or deep depression, depending on your rain tolerance. Someone who bought a mobile home for $48,000 said they are literally on the coast with ocean access. The property needed work. The weather is gray most of the year, but they fish, crab, and live on the Pacific for less than most people pay for apartments inland. They also run a space heater constantly, deal with dampness that affects everything, and accept that sunshine is a rare event worth celebrating. Coos Bay offers actual Pacific coastal living under $50,000 if you can find the right property and handle Oregon coastal weather. The ocean is real, so is the rain. Number 1, Buxton, North Carolina, Outer Banks access. Buxton sits on Hatteras Island in North Carolina's Outer Banks with mobile homes and occasional properties under $50,000 that give you Atlantic Ocean access. This village has about 1,200 permanent residents, sits on a barrier island, and offers legitimate beach living at prices that reflect hurricane risk and isolation. Here is the Buxton reality. Median home prices are high because of tourism, but mobile homes, older properties, and parcels needing work sometimes list between $45,000 and $50,000. The cost of living is elevated because everything comes across bridges or by ferry. Property taxes are moderate. Hurricane insurance is mandatory and expensive because Hatteras Island takes direct hits. The job market is almost entirely tourism-based. If you work remotely, Buxton offers Atlantic beach living cheaply. If you need local year-round work, options are minimal. The catch is hurricanes are not theoretical. They are inevitable. You will evacuate. You will prepare constantly. You will live with the knowledge that your cheap property might get destroyed by a storm. Insurance costs reflect that reality. The beaches are spectacular, classic Outer Banks beauty, with wild coastline and excellent fishing. You are on a barrier island with ocean on both sides. Cape Hatteras Lighthouse is nearby. The culture is surf and fishing oriented. One person who bought a mobile home for $47,000 said they are living on the Atlantic Ocean for less than most people spend on cars. They surf, fish, and have beach access that would cost millions elsewhere. They also evacuate for hurricanes, pay high insurance, and deal with isolation. That means the nearest hospital requires crossing a bridge. The price is unbeatable. The risks are significant. They accepted the trade-off. In plain terms, Buxton offers Atlantic Ocean beach access under $50,000 if you can handle hurricane risk, isolation, and the reality of barrier island living. The beach is perfect. The storms are real. The price reflects exactly that balance. Be honest. Would you move to a cheap beach town if it meant accepting economic decline, infrastructure challenges, or hurricane risk? Drop your beach living tolerance below because we just counted down 10 places where under $50,000 actually buys you water access. Like this video, if you realize affordable beach living still exists, if you are willing to compromise on everything except the beach itself. Subscribe because knowing where cheap coastal properties actually exist might save you from a financial mistake or lead you to an opportunity everyone else overlooked.